Gabby. Hello, Gabby. I really feel like that chick on Agro's Cartoon Connection to the morning. And she's written in with a very lovely letter. And that letter is that she wants to know how to not feel overwhelmed and to have work-life balance. Good luck with that, honey. Ooh. But yes, no, seriously, good luck with that because I don't believe in it at all. You know what I believe in? You know what I believe in? Integrating your work and your life. And that's how you balance it. I think that proportioning out your life like that seems stupid to me. Having your little portion of life there and your little portion of life there. Make your life holistic. Make it all go into one thing. Like being in a nomadic tribe. Isn't that as natural as it gets to human beings? Maybe. I don't really know because I'm not an anthropologist. But I would assume that it would have something to do with, we go hunt now. I take boy along with me, teach him to hunt. So you're being a father and you're going, which probably scared away all the animals. But that is how life worked. And I think that it's a very unnatural thing that life started to get segmented with time, that there was just this 8 hours where you go into your factory, you clock in, you talk to some guy with a gap in his teeth that's overweight saying, you play cards with this, Joey? Yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe. And then you go home, you go to your wife and kids, you sit in front of the tube. That is breaking up your life. And I think that that leads to a very average life. Now, this is the scary part. This can go into two different directions because if your whole life is just spun around on a negative cycle, if your entire life is just focused on, say, let's just go for the most obvious example, heroin. Sucked into anybody out there who's going, ice! Nah, not this time, compadre, because we're living in the 90s before ice was that big of a pandemic, okay? Obviously, that's why you're on the internet right now. And also, it's not called AOL. But, yes, say that you're doing heroin. Your whole life will revolve around heroin. But it's going in a downward trajectory, isn't it? Don't argue with me. I know there's some people sitting there saying, it actually makes your work-life balance made me better. I'm a better doctor because I'm on heroin. I really hope you're not my doctor if you're on heroin. But the more that I think about it, it probably is. Now, there is one thing that I've really got to add to this. I've really got to add this. If you can do it in the other direction, if you can go up in life, if you can go up like this, God, that's a much better place to be. Because instead of your whole life being revolved around heroin, you're doing it on something that's good. And so instead of going down, you're going up. That can happen. You can get a heroin in life. You know what my heroin is? Well, obviously, because you've seen Neil and Shanks at the Friendly Geordie's channel. But it's obviously just, being on camera. And it's the same thing as, say, someone like Conan O'Brien. He just could not stop being on camera for a very, 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 very long time. But that was nothing but positive for him. Do you see? Now, I'm sure that his life, a lot of it revolved around that. I'm sure he was workaholic. People would describe it as that. But I think that if you are able to get into a position in life where you are able to work and move through life, I'll tell you something that makes your wife so happy. You know how they're always saying, you don't spend enough time with me? You know what they actually mean? They actually mean that you're not in the same room as them. That's it. You don't even have to be talking. And you can even just sit there and be like, that's nice, sweetie. Yeah, that's a good dress. You know, you can be doing that and working. But the fact that you're doing it on a laptop and working, you'll probably notice this because you've been in lockdown. It's a different feeling, isn't it? And so that is a good example of integration. This is why I think a lot of people are saying, why the fuck do I have to go back to the office? And good question. Why does anyone have to see anyone anymore? Everyone is just me now, aren't they? That's your entire life. And I think that I do hope that that continues, frankly. You know, seeing someone in 3D, it's all right. But it's kind of like a new Wallace and Gromit movie. I only expect it to happen once every 5 years from now on. But that's what I'm talking about with you. When you're always saying that I want, you know, that little compartmentalization and I'm going to burn out. You know where burnout happens? I truly do think this. I think burnout happens when you don't have passion. If you do have passion for what you're doing, you don't burn out. You just Sad you have to go to sleep at night, but you wake up in the morning, you do it, you're excited to get up in the morning, and life just keeps getting better and better and better. It happens when you have a passion in life. When you are passionate about something, everything else starts to get sucked into that passion. It's really interesting phenomenon. And then when you're around a bunch of other people, like thankfully what's happened with Friendly Geordies, everyone else just gets sucked into the passion as well. And their passions start to multiply on each other. And those passions then become a big passion tornado. That's what happens when you get into that world. And so then when you are in that world, you're just surrounded by those people. It's a good place to be. It's a really, really good place to be. And so I highly recommend that you go into that place. I highly recommend that you go to a place where you're not even thinking anymore. Like, see, this is the whole thing. When you're talking about that work-life balance, I remember that phrase from self-help, but it's just such a foreign concept to me now. I've just been doing this for so long and not ever thinking. This is the other thing as well. When people always say, where are your goals? Where do you want to go from here? Nowhere. I just want to keep doing exactly this. That's when you know that you're passionate. Even when you are like, let's go to the beach. Oh, yay. There's the ocean. You don't care. You're still just thinking about what you're passionate about. I think that those people in life that need that recharge time, why do you need to recharge? You need to recharge because there's a big portion of your life that you don't like. Now, I understand that there's going to be people that say, I have to do that portion of my life, and that might be true. I highly doubt in every scenario it is true. In some people's scenarios, because I have dependents and things, it is. But there will be a lot of other people that just think that. They've put themselves in that mental trap. And if you just do a little bit of planning around it, how do I reduce that time? How do I do something a little bit better? So at least you're moving out of that. You're moving more towards your passion. A really good example of that, for instance, was I remember before when I was, I think like early on in uni, I was working at a retail store, and retail fucking sucks. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but I think it might even be worse than hospitality, because in hospitality, you at least forget how much your life sucks at moments because you're so busy and you've burned your hand with oil, and that distracts you from that. When you're in retail, it's just the same 12 Lupe Fiasco songs over and over again, and people coming in and you just going like, hi, and having to be some really shit real estate agent when neither the customer or you wants to be that. It's a horrible scenario. But then there was an opening up for a video store. Now, obviously, those are closed, but that was heaven to me. That was heaven, because I just got to stand at the counter all day doing nothing. No one else was there, and I just sat there and I studied what I wanted to be studying. Do you see how, okay, I was still doing a shit job. It was still about the same amount of money, but it was way better than the original one. And that was just from looking for these opportunities. You're just looking for a little opportunity where you can get a little more out of life. Comprende? So that's what I want from you. If you are in one of those situations where you're thinking about work-life balance, there is a part of your life that is out of balance. Think about your life going up in a positive cycle as opposed... This is the whole thing, all right? This is what I want you to write down. Don't go for work-life balance. Go for a passionate life. Go for a passionate life. And so I want you to think about what parts of your life do you need rest from? Because that is draining your, as the Chinese would say, I think, qi. Might also be a drink that I remember vaguely and thinking, yeah, this doesn't taste better than 7-Up, but my mum's a weirdo hippie, so I have to have that. Hey, if anybody remembers that drink, Chi, let me know if you can still find it. But also, I'll tell you something, what you can find, more wisdom. Even more wise than what Confucius would have been teaching you. All available at Jordan Shanks. You can get 2 extra videos a week of reminders like this. If you enact on what I just told you then, I just saved your life, all right? I just saved hours and hours and hours of your life from that. And that is because I got that perspective from reading hundreds of self-help books. You could do that. Or you could do a shortcut and you could pay essentially what you pay for a newspaper to me. And I'll give it to you. I will give you things that will change your life. Instead of newspapers that make you sit there and be like, bloody Morrison, Always getting into mischief, that one. Go pay me money at Jordan Shanks for exactly the same service. But for this one, I want you to pay me so I can help you. I think you know where I'm going with this. Help me, help you. Hey, how was my Tom Cruise impression? Give me a like if you thought it was amazing. Subscribe as well.